Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome here inside the studio in Virginia Beach, beautiful Virginia Beach. We're going to get right after. We're going to start out with things that they need to know.
Okay.
Things you need to know. Yep. Number one, Ed Sheeran visited a class in Florida with his guitar, sang a song, signed instruments, and then gave them all tickets to his show. That's class.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know nothing about Ed Sheeran. I know he has a special on Netflix. Really good.
It seems nice.
Yeah, you ever listen to his music? Like,
I have,
you like it?
yeah.
I mean, you have to have somewhat appreciation. You're a guitarist, you know,
Okay.
you're a musician. I mean, I would think that you would look at him and be like,
no,
this guy's talented.
He's incredibly talented, and what I love, too, is that in a lot of his concerts, he does a lot of looping stuff, so he uses a big looping pedal, and
He
so
does
he
all
just
of
has his acoustic, and he does a drum beat on his acoustic, and then it's really he's
See,
talented.
I kind of expected you. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I mean the way I say it. You're a very picky musician, meaning you look for the artistry in what people are doing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got to meet
that's a musician.
certain criteria, yeah.
That's okay. I would expect that.
Yeah.
100%. But for you, that's why I was saying Ed Sheeran. I mean, this guy is like, he's a pretty authentic dude, it seems like, with his music. Like, he just kind of goes after it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Writes his own stuff and comes up with his own stuff. I mean, he's a musician.
Very
through and
emotional
through.
musician.
Yes.
I was watching, have you seen any of that Netflix special?
I haven't, no, but now I probably will.
It's good. It's just like it's like an acoustic set that he does with his new album. And he kind of gives background on some of the music and stuff. It's pretty good. He was very emotional in it. One of the songs talks about a friend that he lost, and like the last time he was in the theater that he's performing and his friend was with him.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
But I love it when, you know, musicians, like, you can feel what he's singing, you know, he believes it. And I don't know, it was just, it's cool. And then to see that he went to that school and surprised everybody and gave him tickets, it was just cool, man. I love when people do stuff for kids. I love when people, you know, get into the high schools, or whether it's coaches doing stuff for kids. I just love that world, especially with the amount of coaching I do. I just have such a heart for, you know, think about all the people in your life when you were a kid that changed. You think about a coach that changed your life. I had a coach that I don't even remember his name. He was one of my coaches in baseball when I was young, and I just look back on it, I just remember him being such an encouragement to me in my career. It wasn't that he never got on me but he coached me.
Yeah.
And he believed in me more than, you know, I ever thought that I could believe myself. And I think it's just sometimes we understate how much we can actually make an impact on people, and you have influence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's good.
So also there was this amazing rendition, this picture I saw. Have you heard about this? It's never before seen pictures of the Titanic. It was 700,000 pictures.
So I came across the article. I just didn't have time to read it. But yeah, I do know. Like, I just know the title of the article.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about it.
700,000 pictures they took to create this image of what it looks like. And it's the first full-size digital scan ever of the Titanic. And it's the largest digital scan in history. 700,000 pictures.
That's crazy.
And when they show you the image, it's amazing because it shows how it's sitting on the bottom of the sea and the way that it's broken. You can't help but just think about what that thing looked like. So obviously I went and start digging and I saw a bunch of pictures of what Titanic looked like before. And it's just hard to believe that is sitting on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so hard to believe that happened. I mean, that's why more than 100 years ago, it's still just so mind-boggling.
Yeah. I had to look up pictures.
What do you think? Are you looking at it?
It's crazy. Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like you're looking at a video game.
Yeah, really.
It's weird, but it's cool. I mean, really cool.
It's crazy.
I know. It is crazy to think about. Another strange story. The others weren't strange. This one's strange. So, do you remember back in the day? It's a famous thing. Randy Johnson, left-handed pitcher, one of the fastest hurlers of all time. Do you remember when he hit a bird?
Oh yeah, I love that video. Yeah, I literally was just talking about this. Was it this morning?
It might be Maddox.
This morning.
You guys don't know Corey, his son Maddox. He's 6'1", he's 10, and he throws about 98. And
right.
So Maddox, you know, you got to watch out. The seagulls around here.
Someday.
Maddox may make viral video.
Yeah.
But so this is the funny thing about that story is a pitcher from the Arizona Diamondbacks was in Oakland. I think it was probably last week. He hit a bird and killed it.
Gosh.
with a curveball.
That's your team, right? I mean,
He threw a curveball and hit a bird, bro.
The chance
warming up in the outfield.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't even during the game.
Oh, wow.
It showed the video from the left field. It showed him warming up, and this little bird goes across and just done.
Gosh.
I mean, what are the chances to hit a bird?
The odds of that are, I mean, think about it. Any place that this bird could have possibly been, he magically is in this little, 3-inch diameter.
And then even if you throw a ball hard, I guess the bird don't have to be big, but if you hit it on the backside, you probably live. But that thing had to hit it solid.
Yeah,
for sure. It. I mean, it was dead on impact. The bird never knew it hit it, apparently.
It's always impressive.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, little buddy. And I hope Zach Gallen doesn't have any hard, hope he's okay. I think that's how you say his name. But I hope he's okay.
Sheesh. Hope
everything goes out. So I'm going to talk about what's bothering me. There's two things I want to talk about. The first is screen touchers. Yeah. People's screens are always dirty.
Yeah.
You're a screen toucher, aren't you?
I am?
Yeah, you're a little bit of a screen toucher. You're not bad. Like my wife today, I was walking by, and she's going to be listening to this, so I'm hoping it's after the weekend.
Yeah.
She was listening. I was walking by her computer. It wasn't bad at all. Just a couple little fingerprints. It could be from our kids. And I was like, man, you a screen toucher? And she's like, I'm not a screen toucher. And I think what I'm realizing, a lot of screen touchers maybe don't even realize that they're, like for me, there's no chance my fingers get close to my screen. Now, that's not a gift. It's obsessive compulsive disorder is what it is. There's no chance that my fingers leave my keys to the screen. And when they do, immediately, like before you even came on, what was I doing? I was wiping down my screen. It's a compulsion. It's not good. Yeah. It's not healthy.
I know why I am. So even looking at this screen right now, there's little tiny dust particles on it, and that's what I hate. So I'm kind of OCD. So honestly, like I'll do this. I'll like swipe kind of with the back of my, I know people can't see what I'm doing right now, but with the back of my finger or something like that, I'll swipe up just to get the dust off. But you're right, it leaves some smear marks. So, but I like to angle my screen so I don't see the smear marks. So.
Yeah, well, just angle the screen.
Yeah,
and mine are like spit marks. I think sometimes little dots. I just need to stop talking while I'm working on my computer.
Yeah, that's my kids. They got spit marks on stuff.
Yeah. And then there's another, this isn't really what's bothering me, but it's a question. So I don't really know how shorts work on YouTube. I don't know what gets views, what doesn't. But I'll say this. So there was like one of the videos from the podcast, I don't remember what it was, like 1.4 thousand. Another one was 1.9 thousand. Another one was 1.4 thousand. Then there was one that said 1. I'm like, how do you get 1 view? Hey. Like, I went and looked at it to try to give myself 2, right? I didn't even know why. How do you get 1 view? How is there a video in all the YouTube stratosphere? Yeah. How bad of a video is it that you get 1 view?
That's impressive.
1. It's a short 1 view.
I dare say that's more impressive than going viral.
I would agree. I think if you can't. To go viral, just enough people have to see it. Yeah. To get 1 view, nobody has to see it.
Yeah.
It's not really what's bothering me, but I was curious. I was like, man, this is kind of a perfect scenario right here. You know, this is a little bit of it's just a weird kind of concept. 1 view.
That is.
So hey,
has it gotten any more since then?
I don't know. 2. I think I looked at it. I tried to see what it was about. It was a funny one too. So I don't know what happened. I think YouTube messed up. It's probably meant 1 million.
Oh, God.
It probably meant 1 million. Yeah. But I was like, how do you get like over 1,000 all these and you get 1? I was like, well, that must have just been posted last week.
It was a week old?
It was last week's episode.
Oh, wow.
It was just funny to me.
Okay.
Like, how in the world does that happen? I don't know. But I agree with you. I think it's like it's bigger than not going viral, I think.
Yeah.
It's
rare.
So, hey, I think we moved ahead a little bit too fast last week on something, and I think we need to backtrack. I need to correct something to the audience and all of the listeners around the world. Mm-hmm. I'm really disturbed about the whole Washington Commander sale. I don't think they're sold yet.
Oh, really?
I wore the chain. I broke out the chain, the dove.
Oh.
This is the thing.
Is this like a conspiracy theory type thing? Can I get my tinfoil hat on?
I don't know. I would like to hear your opinion, though, because...
Well, I don't know anything about it.
Well, that's why I want to hear your opinion.
Okay,
gotcha. Because this is what I think. So, we were sold the team. Dan Snyder sold the team. We have a new owner, but yet there's financial stuff. Like the finances aren't straight because you have to have you can't have over a certain debt limit, and he has over that debt limit apparently. So the owners have to approve it, and they're saying they're going to approve it no matter what because they want a new owner.
Yeah.
Now there's another bidder who said his bid never even got sent to Dan Snyder. That's suing Bank of America. It was over $5 billion because of debt. It's just turning into how is the sale even turning into a mess?
So
How?
Yeah.
How can we please just sell the team and move on from this dichotomy of disaster?
Wow.
Like how? And I'm not saying that's even Dan Snyder's fault. I'm just saying, can we at least, he's saying I'll sell the team. So can we just sell it?
Yeah.
I'm just disturbed.
Nothing smooth.
No. I'm disturbed. It's like, I'm not even worried about winning. I just want to be sold.
Yeah.
And then we'll worry about winning.
Yeah.
I mean, one of our tight ends in on voluntary OTAs, yesterday tore his Achilles. I'm like, he's done for the year already. I'm like, we're not even in mandatory workouts and we're getting injured. And I hate that for him. Yeah. But I don't know. I just don't think we're sold yet, bro. I think we could be having this conversation in August. So is it conspiracy? I think we're having bids. Dan Snyder wants the maximum amount. The guy offering the maximum amount doesn't have the money compared to the amount of debt you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the beginning and end of it. There's another bidder who never got his bid submitted by Bank of America. He's suing them.
Jeez.
Wants his money. There's just such a poison that we just can't seem to get out of our system in Washington.
Goodness. Yeah.
Even the sale is this tragic. It's like, come on, bro.
Jeez.
Like, at what point do we just pack it up and move to, I don't know, pick a place, Virginia Beach?
Hey,
yeah,
we don't have a team. Yeah,
the Virginia Beach Whalers.
The Whalers.
I
don't know if that would pass either.
You know what? I'd wear it proudly. Just anything. We just need something.
I think there's documentaries.
Pharrell, if you're listening, you gotta want to buy a team, bro. You gotta be.
That's true.
I mean, come on, man. You bring in a surf park here. Bring the Commanders down there. You know. We'll build them a stadium. I'm not sure where, but there's got to be somebody out there who's willing to help us out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Get us a pro sports team here in Virginia Beach. But anyway, but the good side of this is merch is dropping the 15th of June.
It is.
So we have the merch is done. It's designed. It looks incredible. And I think people are going to be very, very excited about what's about to come out. Merch is dropping the 15th of June. You want to get discounts. You can be the first to know. You can be in the know. Go to brandonshank.com. Click on join the family. Send us your email. You'll get all kinds of discounts on the merch coming out. You'll get special drops. We're going to do some swag bags we're going to give away. It's going to be cool. We're going to do swag bag deliveries to different people. So, hey, get in on that. Join the family. And then YouTube, subscribe, invite people, like, comment, share the podcast. I love this because it's cool because a lot of times whether I'm traveling or just kicking it with friends and family that I don't get to see a lot, people always talking about whether it's stuff they watch on Sundays or the podcast. I love to be able to connect with people. It's just another really cool way to connect. You know what I mean? So, hey, you asked for it. Here we go.
I was on it this week.
I
nailed it. I can hear the music. You can't.
You were staring at me.
Don't blame me. You asked for
Nailed it.
Yeah, you were staring the whole time. All right, so the first question we got from David here in Virginia Beach is, will LeBron retire after getting swept? And I would say a passionate, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, LeBron's throwing stuff out. He wants to play with his son. Whether or not his son is a one and done at USC and then comes to the NBA, we don't know. LeBron James is still great. There are some Laker fans that are just spoiled, and I'm a Lakers fan. But there's some Laker fans that are just spoiled, and like, LeBron's done. He's a waste. He hasn't helped our team. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? LeBron James is still fantastic. Is he have the same step he had? No, you can definitely tell he moves a little different. He's getting older. He's played on hardwood for 38, 39, however old he is, 38 years of his life. Yeah. He's definitely getting slower as far as that, but he's still phenomenal. Like, that guy, his shooting range is great. His drive to the hoop is great. He's so good. So do I think he's retiring? I don't. I think you can definitely tell his game isn't what it used to be because he's older.
Yeah.
Do I think he's a great shooter still? He's a big body. He plays hard. I love LeBron. I love watching him play. I've always loved LeBron James. I respect him, his game. I respect the way he plays the game. I respect the way that, if you think about all the games he's ever played and all the big games and how many times he's lost his temper, it's amazing how he's been so composed his whole career. I personally can't imagine playing that many big games on that many big stages and never losing my stuff even once. He's never got thrown out, never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would have. I'm just saying that's impressive to me. Seeing somebody on that stage at that level being able to keep it all together. I just respect that a lot.
Yeah.
I respect the way he plays the game. He's not a cheap shot artist. He doesn't try to hurt people. He just plays the game right. And I just really respect that. So I hope not. LeBron James is fantastic for the game of basketball. When he plays, I love to watch. You know what I mean? So I hope he stays in LA, and I know he's got 2 years left, but I hope he stays in LA, and I hope he plays absolutely. So Casey, my wife, wanted me to answer this question. These are only two we're taking today, by the way. Hey, send them in. Instagram, Facebook, all of our social. You can send them in the website. Just let us know if you have questions. But this is one, because I got something I want to cover, so I'm only going to answer these two. But this is the second one, is what books have you been reading lately? And I get this question actually more than you would think. One is, I read a lot more articles than books right now because I'm finishing up my doctorate. And so a lot of the reading I've done has been mandatory. Yeah. It's not stuff I choose to read. And so the one book I've read lately that I'm actually in the process of reading, and when I get dead moments in between my classes, is Leaders Create Chaos by Dr. Sam Chan. And it's actually been a really encouraging book because I think as leaders, you oftentimes think you mess things up when you first get into an organization. But what the premise of the book is that leaders create chaos And if you're a good leader, you're going to create chaos wherever you go. You're going to stir the pot. You're going to do things people don't really like. Even people on your teams. He's saying leaders will create chaos, and not chaos. It's just out of control. But he used the example of, they started classes. They had this college and they wanted more classes offered. So they started them at 6 a.m, thinking, who's going to come at 6 a.m? And he said there was no parking anywhere at 6 a.m. when they started these classes.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about how he built the college over time, but how leaders create chaos when they're good leaders. And it was encouraging to me, especially this year, as we've, basically it felt, launched, some nonprofits in the community that my wife and I started amongst a team of people that we started it with, and like these travel programs for baseball and different things. Like, it's taken a whole team of people, but it has been chaos, and it does disturb the norm. There's a lot of times you're like, what did we do? It's just a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's nothing profitable for us. It's just something for the community. So it's not like it's a financially profitable thing that we're gleaning from, but you create chaos when you disturb the norm. And so that's a great book. And I really ask people to read that if they're like I haven't finished it, and it's a small book. That shows you how much time I have really to read. If I get a little bit of time, I try to hit it. But right now it's been mostly articles that I'm kind of preparing. I have on my last project for my D-Min doctorate of ministry, my last project, and then I start the final project, hopefully done early August.
Yeah.
Then I'm home free.
Nice.
Then I'm done with school forever.
Forever.
Hopefully.
Yeah. For a year.
Yeah. How about you, man? What have you been reading?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So again, I'm actually a podcaster, so I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do read a lot of articles, probably like you. Yeah, I don't know. I have little like little apps on my phone that just like science articles and stuff I'm interested in. I'm a big proponent of the Bible Project podcast. Check it out, listen to it. I think that's kind of like my more like study, like if I want some biblical studies and that kind of stuff. So combined with that, that's kind of where I am.
Makes sense. You're being a creative that you like video and audio and like that kind of.
Yeah, I like to.
Makes a lot of sense
that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's how you create. I mean, that's how you create. You do a lot of gospel creation through that stuff too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's images, backgrounds, videos,
yeah.
Design, music. It's all creative ways to do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm listening a lot. So like even when I'm designing something or creating something, there's always something in my ear. I'm always listening to something. It just helps. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it's good though, man. So what I've been watching, there's something that I want to sit on for a minute. A lot of people, you may or may not know, people who listen to this podcast, those of you that are familiar with the church, that music from Hillsong has been just a game changer for the local church, starting in the 90s for sure, right?
Yeah.
Shout to the Lord. And Hillsong became this, it's mega church is a vast understatement. It really reshaped how church is done in a lot of ways, music especially. Is that fair?
Oh yeah.
It's like they've rebranded how church is done in a lot of ways. And they're going through, their organization in the best ways is just falling apart is the best way to say it. As far as they had a lot of infidelity, a lot of pastors have been called on the carpet for it. They've been fired. And then organizationally, their lead pastor, Brian Houston, is being tried in Australia for covering up. I guess his father was a predator, and they're accusing him of covering up those things. And whether or not he did that, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be associated with it personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as him because of that, until I knew, because I think that's when you have sex crimes like that and you've covered them up, if that happened, that's just such a different dynamic there's so many pieces to that. You know what I mean? He said he's innocent. And so he's being tried for that. But I say all that to say this. There's a documentary that just came out on FX, and Carl Lentz, who was over Hillsong East Coast, that church in New York blew up. And like physically with numbers, there would be hundreds of people waiting in line to get into services. They started a 9:00 service at night, and it packed out and had like hundreds of people still waiting outside to get in. Like it was a move. I think they had 7 services on Sundays just at New York. And then they opened up Boston. They opened up Hillsong East Coast. They opened up all these Hillsongs on the East Coast. So then during COVID, Carl Lentz, it came out that he was having an affair, and then there were multiple affairs, and just anyway, so he got fired. They trashed him apparently, and Hillsong is obviously all their campuses are closing. There's a lot that's happening. It's just not good. They ran like 150,000 people per weekend out of Australia. The reason I'm approaching this is because I watched the first 2 parts. The next part starts the 26th, which would be this Friday. And so I watched the first two, curious about how they're going to cover it, because I knew before this. So for those who don't know, Carl Lentz is from here. He's from Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
So I know I know people in his family. I know that we're connected. I know is a loose word, but had conversations, sit down. Like Carl is a part of the, a lot of people's lives here before he went to New York. There's a lot of people in our church and other places that grew up with Carl. They know him. So it's very personal for a lot more people probably here than other places, because this is like where they're from. His family lives here. And so I want to be very careful how I say this because of the people listening, and I know the culture around here in our church, but I also want to say this. Before that ever came out, I mean, I was told that, they were shopping the story. Carl's wanting to tell his side of the story. And this was like years after. Whether or not he did, I don't know. He's at Transformation Church now.
Yeah.
So with Mike Todd, he's like on there as a church analyst or strategist, whatever. But this is what I want to say about it. It's not about Carl. It's not really about them. It's more than this. Is that when I watched this documentary, I saw how Satan works. I saw what darkness uses to confuse people to keep them from things that God has. Have you seen any of it?
I have not. No, and correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that, because Vanity Fair does this, right? I think it's a Vanity Fair kind of documentary that the two guys that I think headed up actually attended the church in New York City. Okay. So I believe the original intent, at least I thought, was, hey, we were actually there. Let's rather than the documentaries that came before, which were kind of clickbaity and very much, I think, again, I don't know. I've not seen it.
This has that appeal.
Okay, gotcha.
So this has the appeal that there were a lot of good things that happened.
Yeah.
So that's the weird part, is that this has the appeal of in this church, and anybody who's a part of the church world, especially being a pastor, this move was like unlike anything people have seen. It went on for what? I don't remember how many years it was. 8, 9 years, maybe. I don't know. But the reason this documentary to me was, I can just feel, it just disturbed me, because they do talk about how good things happened. And they talked about how people's lives were being changed. And it talked about how these pastors at Hillsong profited a ton of money. And it talked about how all these people were really invested, and how all these volunteers, it took every weekend. It started out with like 80 or 90 volunteers, and by the time it was like 1,000 volunteers every weekend to make this go. And they talked about how they twisted it to say, because money was such a big deal to these pastors and Hillsong, and they were using that as like, it's the big monster, and Carl was just a cog in the wheel, that and this is the one thing that bothered me the most, is all these volunteers gave their time freely. The church abused workers, is what they said. And they gave their time so that the pastors could get wealth. So basically it looked like these pastors were like these monsters that built a big old volunteer base, and the volunteer base worked for free in the name of God so that the pastors could prosper. And that is such a dangerous theology, because it looks so true.
Yeah.
It just, I have not been able to get out of me, man. It has bothered me so much, because you can see the evil in that thought of the greatest thing people can do. And they use all the churchisms you hear, right? But when people serve the body of Christ, it's like their way to serve God. They're serving it. And when you think about pastors, the look is, pastors are profiting from this. I mean, the Bible says, pay a man what he's worth, right? Period. In everything. But when you think about a pastor, it's like, dude, if people who volunteer think for a minute that anything that's done on those scales could be done by somebody who has, like, how would you even do that as a pastor? How would you not have leaders and CEOs and organizations that look like that to be able to run something like that? And be like, well, you shouldn't run a church. I mean, you have all these opinions.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the money and how people are required to tithe their income. They make it so distant from the heart of God and so different than the reality of how the gospel's written, that if I didn't know and I was watching it, I would never attend a church. And that's my problem with it.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
And my thought is, if they chase down this documentary to tell their story, and they're okay with the way things are being pushed out, so their story's being told, I have a huge problem with this. Because the church is I'm sick and tired of the church taking black eyes from people who haven't managed it well.
Yeah.
Like, just come out and say and in the documentary, like, Carl comes out and he says, like, dude, I was wrong. Like, I was wrong in all this. And that's great. But this documentary is slamming Hillsong. And in the process, it's slamming every church that has a volunteer base. It's slamming every church that has a pastor. It's slamming every church that has finances coming in. And it's not a matter of do you think, I mean, bro, I'll say it to the world. I could make a lot more money doing what I do with my life than pastoring a local church.
Yeah.
You could make a lot more money than serving a local church.
Yeah.
Some people say, well, when you get to those big churches, you couldn't. Bullcrap. That's garbage. I know some of these leaders of these churches that are massive, and the sacrifice they've made in their life so that people have a place to come and worship is as much, if not more, than any CEO in the country.
Yeah.
The battles they've had to fight, like, don't give me that. People that say these things have no idea. They look at it as a CEO of a Forbes 500 or a pastor of Hill. They have no idea the fight that went on spiritually for those pastors to get where they're at and to bring the church where it's at. They have no idea.
Yeah.
So when I hear this stuff, it's like, man, y'all are talking about things like they're systematic businesses, but you have no idea of a spiritual fight. There's no spiritual fight for somebody who starts a finance company compared to a pastor of a church. I don't care. It does not exist the same way. It doesn't. It's not the same spiritual fight for you to start a mutual funds organization or a car dealership as it is for somebody who's starting a church. It's a different calling. Do I think there's a fight? Sure. Do I think it's different for pastors? 100%. It's a spiritual, and what happens in these documentaries, they take the spiritual elements out of it and make it all about volunteering and money and pastors because that's what they've made it look like. But they have no idea of the actual fight that's going on in front of them. The angels, the demons, the real spiritual fight. Like, that's the thing the world just seems to ignore. There's a real battle.
Yeah.
And I am standing up for every pastor who has paid a price for people to have a church to go to because it's garbage, dude. When I was watching this, I was like, you people just don't get it. You do not get it. This is not about money and volunteers. Like, whether or not Carl admitted those things, there's no excuse for that, right? We're pastors, and Brian, he's going through his own stuff. Regardless, there is no excuse, period. I'm going to say that, no excuse. There's also a fight nobody knows about. Both of them had to fight at some point, and we're fighting. And it doesn't matter, they could do it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't okay it. But what I'm saying is, this thing just takes all of the real spiritual. It just takes everything valuable out of what we do, out of it, and just makes it about volunteers and serving God. And God is not just something to be served. He's a power. He's an authority. And people don't raise their hands because of what we do. It's people raise their hands because they're in awe. They're humbled in the presence of a God. Like, it's people just don't get it. Church is not a religion, man. It's when we go to church, it's just, there's a spiritual element that I know for me, it's the one thing I wish in my life I didn't have to do was fight the spiritual, because the hardest thing I do, it's harder than leading people. It's harder than leading my kids. It's harder than being a husband to my wife, is the spiritual weight you carry all the time. It always feels like there's just a weight and you can't get rid of it. And this is the part where I'm just like, this is the world talking about something they just don't understand. They don't get it. Are they right in the things they're saying about the pastors? Sure, whatever. I don't know. But they don't understand the church and the value and the power. They don't understand the weight. They don't understand the good and the evil. They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I think even, you look biblically at the time, I mean, even Jesus's disciples, when he's explaining kingdom principles, they didn't get it right away. And so with everything you're saying right now, I think that is 110% true. It's hard for the world to understand, biblical truths or, the kingdom of God until you experience it, until you're reciprocating these things and you're understanding that the way God works in your life isn't always material. It's kind of like when you're giving of your time, when you're giving of your resources to the kingdom of God, what that pays back into your life, isn't always financial, isn't always material. Could it be? Sure, absolutely. That's for God to deem, and that's for us to steward well. But it's joy, it's love, it's grace, it's mercy. We experience these things. I think everyone talks about that anyone who's been on a missions trip, when you go and give of your time and your resources and your money to help other people, talk about the joy that you get from doing that. And you come back from that being like, I have witnessed something that has radically changed my world. And it's hard for the world to understand that. Like, And so, yeah, you watch these documentaries, and I 100% agree. I think even the first couple documentaries that came out about Hillsong, that was the resounding theme that I heard from, well, these people, they don't understand church culture. They don't, it's hard for them to understand that. Like, and so, yeah, you take.
And those were just shots fired, honestly.
Yeah,
those
for
were just
sure.
people trying to tear apart.
Yeah.
And that was easy to see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're just people mad, hurt, angry, wanting to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. People can't understand the church world. I think my thing in this one is, if this was something, this was Carl Lentz's first interview, and if this was something that people sought out to try to clear their name, it's not a good. The local church is the bride of Christ. It's spotless. Like it's his.
Yeah.
But this thing, it's wrong. The things that are being said, it's so inaccurate. And I'm thinking, wow, darkness is trying to steal from people things that are so valuable. Because when they serve God through the local church and through their community, there's such a, like you said, there's so many things in that.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, I always tell people, I don't get paid to preach. I get paid to carry the weight throughout the week. Preaching's free. Like that's the volunteer part for me.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing it. It's my way to serve the local church, to teach. And I just, it's like for me, man, it's not about protecting a vocation. There's a lot of things I could do for a living that would be a lot easier. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, you're like, gosh, I hope people don't hear this. And a lot of people on there, they're hurt. They're very hurt. And they use the words like spiritual bullying and just all these terms that you're like, we just make up a term for everything in our life. And like, what about the people, did you hear God? Did you hear God? Like, so when people go on those things and they want to trash the church, I'm like, well, why? Why are you on there? Like, what good is it for you to tell people your story? Because, well, it gets out and then the church gets hurt. Like, there's such a culture that is even in the church where it's just the cancel culture is everywhere, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just don't think we realize how many people are watching these that don't go to a church, that may lose or may not have the opportunity, may not want an opportunity after seeing it. And that's my thing, is like, people need the church. Yeah. The church in its form is healthy. It's beautiful. It's vibrant. It's passionate. It's compassionate. It's empathetic. They're humans. If you think you're going to go to church and not be hurt by humans, then you're disappointed. We're humans. You're hurt at your little leagues. You're hurt at your schools. You're hurt at, you get your feelings hurt at restaurants, and you still eat. You still play baseball. You still do everything in life. But church is the one thing where, well, it wasn't perfection. And I just say that because when I watch this, it's just, I know they can't understand, but dude, the thing is, there's a spiritual war that we all fight that's never mentioned.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, the volunteers, this and that, and it's their church too. And Carlin had these affairs, and his wife is obviously hurt. I get that, and I hate that for them. I really do hate that for them, and I hate that for the Hillsong that they're going through all this. But you kind of get what you get, man. Like, you made your bed and you have to lay in it. And I hate to say it like that, but in the process, at what point do we stop swinging at the local church? Yeah. Like, by going after Hillsong, you're going after the church. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
In anybody. And it just drives me crazy, bro. I'm like, whose name are we trying to clear? Because Hillsong, I don't care. There is, the local church is the hope of the world, because Jesus, that is his bride.
Yeah.
And we just, you're right. The world doesn't understand it, but I just feel like there's got to be some responsibility taken here. It's been heavy on me, man, ever since I started watching it. Like, I just don't want people to not go to church because they think, well, this is what all church, and they just misconceptions. They miss Jesus. They just don't want him because of all these pictures. And I know Jesus is chasing him. He can still get to their heart. I get all that.
Yeah.
But I think we're in a community and a society where they're just ready to just cancel everything. And the local church is the hope. And Jesus is the hope. The local church will get people there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so when I got done watching it, I was like, I wouldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go anywhere if I didn't go to church and I watched this. They're all crooks. They're all liars. The church is frauds. They just use people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in church your whole life. How many times have you heard that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of our, it's the nature of our culture. I'm not talking about church culture. It's the nature of our world to, as soon as you've got one bad apple, the whole bunch is bad. And it's almost like, well, you got to throw the whole thing out. And it's like, well, that's not true. it's not the nature of the gospel either,
No.
that, a bad apple can absolutely have a redemption story and find grace and love and mercy and forgiveness. And we just have this mentality of, that old adage, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, we throw it all out, you know?
Well, and I forgive people. I mean, I don't have to forgive them. They didn't do it against me.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
it's like, I get it, man. People are sincere. I hear that, and my heart goes out to them. I hope they get the reconciliation in their life they need. I hope they get opportunity to do ministry if they feel called to that. If God opens the doors, I absolutely hope that. I hope for that redemption. Absolutely, that's the story of the gospel. Story of the gospel is redemption. So there's been mistakes made, but like, let's get restored and redeemed, and let's go out and do ministry again. Whether it's whoever. Yeah. That's the story of Jesus. Whether it's anybody. I mean, just make it a blanket over anybody. But I think my biggest thing is the church has been taking black eyes from the beginning of time, and it's still standing as the most powerful organization in the entire world that has never been stopped, and it never will be. Period. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Jesus, when he was here, was taking the black eyes. It is never going to go down. It's not. So I don't need to sit here and defend it. I'm just saying, for those listening that don't go, that's not the way church is.
Yeah.
That's not the way that it is.
Yeah.
There's not been any person that's ever worked for me as their pastor that would say I haven't hurt their feelings or said something to them that hurt their feelings ever. Mm-hmm. You're saying, well, that's an awful person. No, it's humanity.
Yeah.
There's not been a person that's ever worked here at this church that's not had to have some type of sit down at some point because of something they didn't agree with.
Yeah.
Not even theologically, just I don't like the way this is being done.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you work with people. Mm-hmm. If you were in a business, it'd be the same way. The difference in the church is that you find ways to move through grace and care and love. And you believe that people should be given opportunities and redemption, right?
Yeah.
And I know for me, there was people, if they didn't have that for me, I wouldn't be here. And so I think that's the difference in the church is like, we are the hope of the world, Yeah. And so for all those listening, man, find a local church, lock in.
It's good.
Palms Church, 9 and 10:30 every weekend. Your shameless plug right there. It's a great church to be a part of, and it's online. So if you can't get here, you can watch it. So hey, I got a final thought.
Here's my final thought.
So there's a law in New York City that you can't have animals on dogs can't be on the subway unless they're in a bag. So
sorry.
So you're gonna like this. A woman carried a 52-pound dog in her backpack on a subway. I mean, half the dog's hanging out, and this dog's massive, bro. Like its hair, it's like this big.
Yeah.
And the viral video had more than 1.4 million views. There have been people that carry dogs on the subway in IKEA bags with leg holes cut out. That's how big the dogs are. You just got to think like, people really are funny.
Wait, are you carrying it, or is it just walking and you're just holding the strap?
I mean, the dogs have to be in bags. Somebody made that rule thinking that all the teacup poodles of New York City would make their way in a bag, not Doberman Pinschers and German Shepherds, 52-pound dogs. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah.
People are hilarious.
Yeah.
That's my final. People are hilarious.
That's
my wife and I were out at the beach the other day eating in the ocean front, and there was a lady who had a dog in a bag, and it was sitting on a seat. The dog had a bone in its hair and was eating salad. And I was thinking, man, that dog's probably the healthiest dog I've ever. And the dog was extremely well behaved. Yeah. Sat there, never barked. I was saying, this dog thinks it's a human, and probably the bag it's sitting in is probably worth more than my car.
Yeah,
like this dog looks expensive, and I guarantee you went to some type of obedience school, and maybe was just out on recess when it came to lunch. I mean, and so I think having animals, has it gotten out of control?
Probably.
Or are they just adult stuffed animals? You know what I mean? I mean, I got kids who take stuffed animals to school. They love it, right? I'm like, you still take stuffed animals? Like, man, I love taking stuffed animals. So unless they bite, I say enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy them. If you have a dog that sits good in a bag, and you want to take it to a restaurant, let it eat salad, then so be it. If that's what makes you happy, it's 2023. Why the heck not?
Yeah, and clean up after it. As long as you do that, I'm fine.
Yeah, clean up after it is a good one.
It's a good one.
When we first moved here, we lived in an apartment, and outside in the corner of our apartment, there was the area for dogs. Mm. And I was amazed that people would go out with a bag over their hand and pick up a pile of doo-doo.
Yeah.
With their bare hand. I'm like, the only thing between that doo-doo and their hand is thin layer of plastic. And they would full grip that thing.
It triggered my gag reflex.
And I was always like, I'm amazed that people love their animals to do that.
Yeah.
That they would go bare hand that thing.
It's still hot.
I mean, spicy, bro. I mean, it would almost like they'd be catching it before it hit the grass sometimes. I'm like, wow,
boy.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you still gotta sanitize.
Yeah. Well, we
a
have
plastic bag. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not every morning, but we have a neighbor that our bus stop is like right out from our house. And so we have a friend who lives down the cul-de-sac, and she has 2 new dogs now, and she brings them up almost every day. And it's, every other day or something, they just take a doo-doo in my yard and she picks it up with, yeah.
And have you said don't go in my yard?
Yeah. No, it's fine. If you pick it up, whatever.
Well, you know what?
Just fertilize it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just makes it a little greener.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a neighbor that their dog pooped in our yard.
Yeah.
It was big.
Yeah.
It was like a cow. But,
yeah.
It was like once or twice. I shoveled it, threw it away, never say anything.
You can just
never
throw it in the back of the woods back there, right?
Yeah.
Just chuck it into the swamp.
That's true. But it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's good. I get it, man. It is what it is. It's but I think, if your animals are your lifeline, good for you, man. Dogs make people happy.
Yeah.
And, if you can teach that dog to sit in a bag and eat salad, then so be it. So be it. You enjoy your animals. All right? Podcast world, enjoy your animals. Let me pray over you. Lord, I pray for each and every person that is listening to this today. I pray that they would feel and sense the presence of God in their life and know that those aren't just good days. It is you. It is your hand. It is your guidance. It is your presence alongside of them in their life. They would see that joy and happiness doesn't flow from situations and circumstance, but it comes from you. That God, you are our strength. That God, you're our joy in the morning, and you're the only thing that picks us up in life. Even when it feels like it's other things, that they would see that source is you. God, we thank you. I love you, and we give you all that we have, and we pray that you would be with us, keep us safe, and bring us back together. We love you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, love you guys. Every weekend, 9 and 10:30, Palms Church. We'll see y'all right here next week.